how do we reparent ourselves? What does that mean to reparent ourselves? To reparent ourselves means that we give ourselves the love, the approval, the support, the encouragement, the permission to be whoever we are that we never got as a child. We give that to ourselves now as adults. It's being our own inner elder, our own inner parent, the parent that we always wanted, but perhaps we never ever got. This video is not about blaming parents. It's not about saying, look what they did, look how awful my parents were, they screwed me up, they messed me up. That may very well be the truth and the case for you. But in order to fully reparent ourselves and fully step into our personal strength, what we have to do is to put down feeling like a victim. We were victims at one time. We did go through a lot, but to heal, we need to say, I am no longer that. And now I have the strength and the inner authority to be able to govern myself and to heal these wounds. So to reparent ourselves, it means that we can go back to our childhood and heal this core wounding that we received at a very, very young age. For most people, that's when it happened, is usually between birth and 8 years old, or perhaps continuing on into our teen years or into early adulthood. To reparent ourselves means that we heal that inner child within us. And I've done a number of videos on tapping or emotional freedom technique for the inner child, and I will put links to that below the video. I highly recommend you check those out. It's a wonderful way to heal that inner wounded child and replace it with the self-love that you deserve. So to heal our inner child means that we go back and we can start to connect the dots once we are aware of what our wounding is, and we can start to look and see how that wound was developed, how it played out in our lives, and how it has affected us as adults. We can begin to see, this is old stuff I've been playing out over and over. Old ways of thinking, telling myself I'm not good enough, thinking I can't do it, or believing that I'm not more, I couldn't ever be more. The child within us is that part of us that just has that childlike innocence and wonder and awe at the world. That part of you that thinks and believes it could be anything. Look at a child or think back to yourself when you were very young and remember a time, if you can, when anything was possible. That's your inner child, and that part is still within you. Before, you had all sorts of messages, whether it's from your parents or from your culture or from the world about what it meant to be a boy or a girl, all of that. Before that was heaped on you, and you took that on, and that spark became or got extinguished. So to revive and revitalize that inner child within us, we have to reconnect with that part of us that marvels at the little things in nature, that knows it can be anything or anyone, and it doesn't have to live up to someone else's expectations of us. So often we go through our lives as adults doing what we are supposed to do. Supposed to get married by a certain age, supposed to save for retirement, supposed to work a job in the same job for years or even decades. We're supposed to have it all figured out and know what to do, and we're supposed to just be perfectly well-functioning adults. And the thing is, most of us don't follow that prescribed path because we don't have the answers, and we got to give ourselves the permission to say, I don't know, and that is part of life, and that is part of being a human being on this planet, and you are unfolding and learning and growing and evolving every day as you go. Reparenting yourselves means that you drop any part of you that is catastrophizing, immediately assuming the worst. And if you have abandonment issues, as many of us do, you might know what I'm talking about, that when things start to get really tough, that you automatically fear the worst and you start preparing and planning for the worst because you feel that as if that's going to protect you from the pain. When actually, what it's doing is it's not protecting you, it's preventing you from standing in your power and dropping that victim mentality that was ingrained in you, that you learned by being abandoned so many times. To reparent ourselves what we have to do is start changing our inner monologue. We have to stop beating ourselves up. We have to stop telling ourselves that we can never be that or be this, that we can never have a certain kind of life, we can never be happy, that we don't know how to be happy. We have to stop telling ourselves that we're shit, that we suck, that we're a loser. So many people struggle with self-esteem, and that is at the root of many of our issues, is a lack of self-esteem. Our self-talk is so negative and so critical. We don't talk about it. We don't go around telling people, oh yeah, last night, it was Friday night, I was at home and I just, I was so depressed and I felt so lonely and I just feel like shit about myself. We don't go around telling people about that. But for many, many people, that is the inner story that's playing. That is the background noise that is dictating what is going on in our outer life. So what we have to do is, again, go back to healing that inner child, go back to the origin of those wounds and see how they have influenced regularly so many of your decisions, so many of your actions, and so much of who you are now. To reparent ourselves means that we have to be unconditionally present with ourselves, that we have to allow whatever feelings to come up that are there without judging them, without saying, I shouldn't be feeling this, but I do, or I don't, I feel bad because this is, maybe I'm too mean, or I'm being too judgmental or too critical. Well, I shouldn't do that. That's not nice. I shouldn't be that way. I don't want anyone to know I feel that way. We have to let ourselves feel and grieve what it is we never got. And that's not a process that can be rushed. It takes time. It takes time to allow ourselves to feel the anger, the sadness, maybe the betrayal that we never got. That love and acceptance for just being whoever we were, to be loved for who we were. So now what we can do is we can give that unconditional love to ourselves. It doesn't make any sense to blame anyone else. And we have to take full responsibility for our lives now, and for who we are now, and for our lives. And to do that means you're stepping into your power fully and completely. That means that you are fully accepting, I can do something about this. That's what I learned then. But it does not have to control or dictate the rest of my life. And maybe it has for decades, but it's never too late to stand in that mantle of strength, in that pillar of self-responsibility, which is so freeing when you say, shit, it's all on me. It's all on me. It's all up to me. And every moment I have a choice, and every moment I can choose what I do and how I react. Do I want to let this old dumb shit that I learned play out when I'm 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever? Nope. Got no time for that. I have no time for that. Life is too short. The last thing I want to mention is that when we reparent ourselves, it means that we place our focus on what we want to move towards and not on what we don't want. So that means that if you are afraid of something and you're working towards the goal and you're afraid of failing, for example, that you don't put your energy into that thing that you're afraid of and making sure that doesn't happen. Instead, you put your energy towards what you want to create and manifest. So instead of saying, I'm afraid of this thing, or I don't want this situation to happen, so I'm going to put all my energy into fortifying myself and preparing and dress rehearsing so that that doesn't happen. Because what that's doing is it's preventing that thing from coming out. It's preventing that from coming, the attempt is to protect ourselves from pain, but it's actually not doing that. It's just simply getting in the way, it's slowing us down, or it's going to completely block manifestation from happening. So I hope that helps. Please check out my videos on tapping to heal the inner child. That's at the root, it's at the core. And when we address our inner child, we will grow and heal, and our lives can change for the better. Thank you so much for watching. Also, please check out my course on healing through tapping. It teaches you all about how to do tapping so that you can be self-sufficient and use this wonderful tool on your own at the at the end of the class. I'll put a link for that below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Keep being strong and working on yourself. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.